Wonder if you've ever went fishing or enjoyed fishing. Maybe not. Maybe you've seen people out fishing quite a lot. Maybe when you're down around the shore and you see people with their big beach casters, or maybe somebody fly fishing up the river. As a child, I remember learning to fish quite early on, maybe 7, 8, 9 years of age. Of course, you started with a little net when you were maybe about 5 or 6. Sprickly bags, those little things you would have caught somewhere in a little river. And then you progressed to maybe a harbour somewhere. And then later on, I learned to tie flies. And of course, I went for fly fishing. And fishing was something I enjoyed doing, especially in those early years of life. Fishing became something major, of course, in the life of some of the disciples. 4 of them are fishermen. And of course, the Lord has called them at an earlier stage to be, follow him, and I will make you fishers of men. As we come to the story, however, in John chapter 21, we find that this is after the resurrection of Jesus. And we find that Peter has gone again back to fishing. There's always that debate as, did he go back fishing? Had he cast away his old life along with Jesus? Had he wanted to just go back to his old ways? Or was he just waiting on what the Christ had to do for him? The story very much resembles the story in Luke chapter 5. And there's lots of memories in this story. I just want to read you some little parts of it. It says, after this, Jesus revealed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. That's, of course, the Sea of Galilee. Simon Peter, Thomas, Nathanael, the 2 sons of Zebedee, who of course were fishermen themselves, and 2 others were together. And Simon Peter said to him, I'm going fishing. He's gone fishing again. And they said to him, we will go with you. And of course they get into the boat. And the story progresses here that they catch nothing, much like the story in Luke chapter 5. They've been out all night in it and they had caught nothing. And here it says, just as day was breaking, so you can imagine they're tired, they're weary, they've caught nothing. Jesus stood on the shore. Verse 4, and it says, yet the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. And Jesus said to them, children, do you have any fish? And of course they say no. You can imagine at this moment in time, it says they didn't recognize maybe who he was at this stage. And you can imagine what they're feeling, this stranger on the shore, this person on the shore telling them. And here it says, and he says, cast the net on the right side of the boat and you will find some. So they cast it. And now they were not able to haul it in because of the quantity of fish. Jesus revealing himself once again to the disciples. Wonder about you and I in our own lives. Sometimes do we go back to the path we were once on, the things that we feel comfortable with? We don't like uncomfortable situations. Maybe Peter here in this situation was finding himself going back to what he knew best. And yet Jesus had called him not to be a fisher man in the sense of being out at sea or in the Sea of Galilee, but called him to be a fisher of men. Has God called you to something that maybe you've found difficult, or maybe you've just through time gone away from it? What's God speaking to you about at this time in your life? The call of God upon your life. Is he revealing himself even again to you, to me, speaking to us afresh? And here it was, so they cast it, and now they were unable to haul it in. And that disciple whom Jesus loved, verse 7 of John 21, said to Peter, it is the Lord. John recognized it was Jesus on the shoreline. When Simon Peter heard it, it was the Lord. He put on his outer garment, stripped off from the work that he had on, and threw himself into the sea. Impetuous Peter, the one who had denied the Christ, the one who loved him deeply, jumps into the sea, wants to be close to him. The other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish. For they're not far from the land, just about 100 yards. You can have the scene here, Jesus on the shore, and he's cooking breakfast. And this is all heading towards restoration of Peter, and the plan that Jesus has for him, and the plan that Jesus has for you and me. Even if we've gone astray, even if we've moved, that restoration, that bringing us back, that revealing again of himself, or maybe for the first, even revealing himself, speaking to you. If you don't know the Christ, if as yet you are not a believer, is he speaking to you afresh through circumstances, through bringing you closer to himself. It says in verse 8, when they got in the land, they saw the charcoal fire. Did that remind him of when he had denied the Christ as well in the courtyard, with the fish laid out on it and bread? And Jesus said to him, bring some of the fish that you have caught. So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore, full of large fish, 153. Some say that was the number of species in Galilee. I'm not too sure about if that was the number of species of fish. And although there were so many, the net was not torn. Here he is, he's shown him the picture that the casting of the net, the catching of the fish. And Jesus said to him, come and have breakfast. None of the disciples there asked, who are you? They knew it was the Lord. And Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them along with the fish. And this was now the third time that Jesus was revealed to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. Peter had been reminded of the past, bring him into the present. And after this story in John's Gospel, he speaks very clearly about restoration of Peter. May you and I today know Jesus speaking to us, revealing himself to us, but also keeping ourselves focused on the task, doing the things that God wants us to do, and not getting sidetracked into other avenues. May God use us that way. May we remain fixed, firm and focused upon the Lord this day and every day. Thank you once again for listening to this devotion.